I have no idea what was going through my head last night, but I slept like an idiot. Yeah, I don't know. I was just like up and down all night. Like, I don't know. Not a great sleep. And I slept in by about a half an hour, so. I ended up scrapping meal prep this morning. I'm gonna try and get back home at some point throughout the day and grab my stuff then, but running a tad late this morning. Should still be all right to get everything done on time. Just gonna be no time for fooling around. So today's gonna be pull day, so again, the usual suspects: pull downs, rows, bicep curls. I'm trying to think what else. What else could we put in today? I think we're gonna do the row machine instead of the cable pull, or maybe even a T-bar. I have not decided yet. Probably not T-bar. I don't get why people have to drive with their high beams on in town. Oh, pullovers, that's the other one I was thinking. So usually I do single arm cable pullovers. And a lot of things I've been watching have been talking about doing like double arm with either a rope or a, I don't know, like an easy bar grip, or a, I don't know how you call it. We'll see. I might try the rope and see how it feels. If it's not great, then I'll just stick with what I know. Other than that, it'll be starting off with cardio today. I've decided to just maintain. Holy man. The night walkers are out. Just maintain what was working before, and instead of trying to mess around with it. I don't think the recent strength or rep losses I've been experiencing is from doing cardio first, so we'll just keep on with that, and hopefully we can regain a bunch of it back once we get to, people's garbage everywhere. Once we get to have if we get to have bulking, I guess. Once we've cut down enough and we're ready for bulk, then hopefully the strength will come back. What the hell, I ran over there, somebody's bottle. Anyways, I don't really have much else to add right now. It's gonna be get in there and start biking so we can get to the weights. Yeah, let's just get it. All right. You know what? Let me put you guys right here. There you go. That was a pretty darn good workout, I think. Oh my gosh. Oh, let's see if I can get around this corner here. Fucking bottle. Oh my gosh. So yeah, despite being a little late with the wake up and rushed, the workout all in all went well. Did the cardio, got that in this morning, hit all the exercises I wanted, and I still have like 10 minutes to spare to get to work. So all in all, not a horrible morning, at least. Can't really, there we go. So what did we hit? Lat pull downs on cables, and then we did the 2-arm pullover with the, I don't know what you call it, the swiggly bar, curve bar. I used to always call it the easy curl, but it's one that has like the 2 V's in it. Anyways, that was actually awesome. I like that a lot more than the single arm cable pullover, so I'm probably going to switch over to those permanently now. We did cardio first, so that was all good. Still feel good about that decision. I think that's what we're going to stick with from now on. What else we do after that? Pullovers, and then we did the rows on the hammer strength machine, which I feel is a good choice instead of cables all the time. I like the hammer strength. It's still isolateral, unilateral, one side only, so you're not doing both, and I find it kind of helps me, make sure I'm not compensating one side with the other. And I also find too, it kind of prevents me from cheating one end to pull the other. I find with the dual pull, sometimes I lean on one side a little bit more, which probably isn't ideal for trying to balance muscle groups and stuff out. Anyways, that was pretty much it for back, and then did dumbbell curls and some curls on the preacher curl machine, which pretty much exhausted everything at that point. I didn't really have anything left in the tank afterwards. So yeah, that was the workout. I definitely am having difficulties staying up with keeping up with my rep counts and stuff, so the cut is starting to have some of the adverse symptoms or side effects, I guess you could say, of losing weight. Inevitably, you're not going to be able to retain all your muscle, and you're not going to be able to gain muscle, that's for sure. Like, that's kind of the one of the misconceptions, I would say, of recomping. I think recomping is kind of a misconception, because when you look at it at a cellular level, your body's either going to be in a caloric surplus or caloric deficit, and depending on which one of those you're in is going to decide if your body's going to have enough extra resources in it to build more tissue, or if it has to destroy tissue to keep functioning. Obviously, if you're in a caloric deficit and you have fat stores, there's a lot of glycogen stored away that your body can use up for energy. But once you start depleting those stores and your body your body realizes that there's not really a big reserve of energy, that's when it starts saying, okay, well, I can't really use the energy or the stores I have to create more muscle. So that's when you start noticing a bit of a plateau in maybe your weightlifting or your strength. I mean, if you cut long enough, your body will start atrophying muscle. Ideally, that's not what happens. You start atrophying your fat stores, and once that's done, that's when you would start building back your muscle. But that's where we're gonna park here. I have yet to reach that level of having to worry about atrophying muscle. I think I've never gotten to the point where I've lost all of the fat on my body that I've wanted to lose. I think there is a point you get to when you're cutting that your body just kind of goes into a bit of a crisis mode and it doesn't want to lose any more fat, so it makes it more difficult. But anyways, at work, gotta go jump in there and see what the story is today. If there's something interesting I think about, you'll likely hear from me before the end of the video. So I'll catch you after shift's done. So yeah, the whole thing that I'm gonna have to come to terms with over the next month or so, I guess, is that I'm not likely going to keep all of my strength. Hopefully, as far as like muscle size and stuff, I can maintain most of that, but definitely noticing the loss of reps and weight I can move. But I think in the grand scheme of not looking, I don't know. I've always felt that, based on how much time I spent in the gym, I never really had, my weight to where I wanted it to be. So in the plan to trim down this fat, it's gonna be the I think an acceptable demon, I guess we could say. So, or an acceptable side effect, if you want to call it that. So I don't measure my body parts or nothing like that. It's not really anything I've ever done, like measure arms or anything like that. So I don't really have anything to quantify that if there's a change, but we'll see. But I think that's kind of how, looking at like, I don't say bodybuilding, but I'm saying if like you're trying to, change the way you look or, lose fat and maintain muscle, it almost has to go through those, ebbs and flows, kind of ups and downs, right? But I think the overall goal, especially if you're looking at losing fat and building muscle, is you're hoping to cut down, lose as much fat as you can off your body while maintaining muscle. And then you go through a bulking phase again where you're going to gain weight. You're inevitably going to gain some fat. But during those gaining phases, the goal is going to be to eat high protein, moderate fat, and likely carbs, so you have the energy to go to the gym and do your workouts. But when you get to that high peak, it's, you try to limit the amount of fat you put on and maximize the amount of the amount of muscle. And that way, when you cut again, hopefully your lowest weight, where you get back to your body, I don't know, you want to call it like body shape or your physique that you want to keep, your overall weight is a little bit higher than it was when you were cutting last time. And that's because you've cut that fat off and maintained more muscle. But I think like that's really how, progress in anything in life is like that, right? Like whenever you're learning something or if you're practicing a new skill, it's never just a straight incline. You keep getting better, There's inevitably going to be, something you try and you don't do well at it, so you kind of get into a bit of a rut from it. But the important thing is being able to, if you persevere and push through, then hopefully you're able to peak up to a higher it sounds very like deep, profound, but it's like I'm saying, your ebbs and flows. Hopefully your next peak you reach is higher than your last one. And I mean, that's even happened to me like with schooling and stuff. When I first left high school, I went to university to go to teachers college, and I sucked at it. I didn't enjoy the content, wasn't motivated, and I was like in a rut. I was failing my courses, couldn't focus on anything because it wasn't really interesting for me. So then I left university, went to college to be a paramedic, and that was, a high point. Grades were doing well, I was enjoying it, it was fun and exciting. And, I felt like everything was going great. Finished that. And, went back to school after that and did my advanced care paramedic. So again, had to hit a curve where, I was starting to learn new skills, new education. So I felt a little bit low, like, do I actually know what I'm doing? But as I was able to practice and get better at those skills, and, got back into a full-time job in the city where I live, everything was looking good. And then during COVID, I decided to go back to school for university and finish my degree, which I'd started, 10 years prior when I finished high school. And that was kind of like a kick in the teeth, because you get back and you look at your grades from before, you're like, oh my gosh, like, how am I gonna recover from this mess that I left myself 10 years ago? And you're 19 years old, you don't really think much about it, you don't have much foresight thinking that's gonna affect your life in the future. So that was kind of like a bit of an eye-opener. But I had some awesome professors in university that, really pushed me to do well in the courses I was in. So I, had a lot of success with my anatomy courses and my biology courses that I took. And I was able to work with the registrar's office and administration. They were able to remove some of my old crappier marks, so my GPA wasn't absolutely trash. And it's got me in a position where I can at least apply to med school now. And we'll see how that goes. So we'll see, if this is an upswing right now, or maybe it's going to be another bottom of a wave, depending on what happens in the next few months with my application. Anyways, it's home time to spend some time with the kiddos and the family. So I'm going to leave this video here. If you've made it this far, thanks for sticking on through. I'll see you in the next one.